Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you would like to catch the show live. Today we're talking about our privacy news, a little bit of security, and World War III is upon us. Maybe not yet. Of course, if you're still watching this, then chances are nukes have not blown you up. So maybe we're being a little melodramatic. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive on into the privacy news. First, there was an article from Tech Report, real-time data improving customer service. And this report just came out earlier this week. And basically, it's all about this positive fluff piece about why you as a client need to collect and analyze all sorts of client data in real time so you can really figure out what your customers are doing and you can, help them improve their customer service. Keep telling yourself that. What I liked most about this is you get down here and point number 3, make mobile and social media the focal points. Nothing surpasses mobile and social data sources for knowing what clients are doing in real time. Using that data is like personally following clients around to find out where they are and what they want. That's why I chose to include this article in here. That is indeed creepy. This is why I do not like social media. I don't spend any time there, and why all of my phones run Lineage without micro G or Google services at all, because I want the smallest possible footprint for some corporate stalker to be following me around the internet, because I don't care. And I got news for you. I don't know if you follow what goes on with customer service or if you've ever had to deal with people. Customer service was a whole lot better 20 and 30 years ago before we had massive data collection. Now we have massive data collection all over the place. And guess what? Customer service has gone to crap. And so that's kind of crazy. I got to move this camera slightly because the cat keeps messing with the green screen. Apologies for that. But anyway, just be careful that companies are now being taught about using social media and smartphone apps as a means to collect the maximum amount of data. Kind of like that video I talked about earlier this week about the government using mobile apps to get all of, to basically do reservation systems. Kind of like I knew what I was talking about, but I don't know. And I promise, I recorded that video before this came out. So whatever. Well, Brave browser is taking a spring out of the creepy bounce tracking. So what's going on is bounce tracking is a way that websites have been getting around people who set their cookies to block third party. So if you go to a website and they're using some third party cookie to track you, what the website can do is it can detect if you're doing that, blocking third-party cookies, and then if you are, then what they can do is they can take that same thing and they can load it on the page in an iframe, and when you load it in the page on an iframe, it counts as a first-party cookie, and then they're still able to track you around the internet. Well, Brave is starting to roll out methods to spot them doing this, and they're actually changing their protocols in order to prevent you from doing this. And so Brave browser is becoming a little bit better at blocking you out. Can you guys hear the cat running around like a lunatic? But he's super fat, so I'm not going to stop him. Like, burn the calories. I started calling him the hungry hippo. But anyway, back to the article. So Brave is actually doing some pretty good things, and also consider looking at Brave Search as well, since DuckDuckGo is losing its way. HBO is now accused of sharing subscriber data with Facebook in a class action lawsuit. So basically, HBO has been collecting and harvesting all the data that all its various subscribers are looking for. And what they started to do is selling this data to Facebook so that Facebook could match your viewing profile to the profile they had on you to build a better idea of the things that interest you in order, of course, to better sell you ads and to, better control you in the the coming world when the algorithms take over everything. Maybe it's to show you what type of movie backgrounds to give you in the metaverse or something. I don't know. But regardless, a lot of people looked at HBO and said, you know what? Well, sharing data across several other services for some reason isn't illegal because it's kind of crazy. There's actually a little known law from 1988 that what happened is some senators and or congresspeople, people in the government were watching pornos that they got from the movie rental stores, and then that information was released somehow, and so Congress was really quick to pass a law that protects what people read at the library and watch at the video store. Well, it turns out that the way the law is interpreted, any video data and reading data that a person has is possibly protected by this law. And so the people in the class action are alleging that HBO has violated the 1988 Video Privacy Protection Act in sharing this data with Facebook. So very interesting case, and shows once again how you might trust HBO, but they're still selling data to the likes of Facebook. So that's kind of crazy, and yeah. And on to our feature story, introducing BidenCoin. Biden considers a digital dollar, so he signed an executive order because what else? I mean, did he even know what he was signing? Just sign it, Joe. I'll give you an ice cream cone when you sign this, you demented lunatic. And so he signs this bill, which in 180 days is going to require certain groups, and I forget which group is which. One is like the Fed, one is like Congress. And there's all sorts of people involved. The Department of Homeland Security is involved in this as well. And then within, 180 days, 200 days, 250 days, whatever, all these reports have to come in to check the viability of doing all these things so that they can somehow maintain a good, secure, privacy-orientated cryptocurrency that they can use to make sure nobody's committing crimes. Those two things are mutually exclusive. You can't have it both ways, you demented lunatic. And so we are getting this discussion looking at the central bank digital currency. CBDC is the abbreviation. And what I thought was particularly interesting in the actual report, I didn't see it in this, but in the particular report, it's talking about how you could use this for monitoring people for criminal behaviors and things like this. So it's a very dystopian type digital money. Now, they have said that they're not planning on getting rid of cash anytime soon, but just for people who wanted a digital currency, this would be an option. Kind of terrifying, and I would probably not put any stock in the BidenCoin, but that's kind of me. Well, let's go ahead and have a look at a couple of security articles next. So first up, Samsung has a data breach. Now, no customer data or even employee data was taken, but what was taken is the source code for a lot of things inside of their corporate apps, the apps that they've created, including the source code for information that made your biometric locks work. And this would mean that the hackers that took this could possibly reverse engineer this and figure out how to break into your phones. So yeah, that amazing, highly secure biometric lock. Yeah, hackers have that data now, and it's going to be very possible for them to figure out ways around it. So while Samsung itself is trying to say, they're trying to play this down because, hey, there's no client data loss. It's just 200 gigabytes of our confidential data, source code for various technologies, and algorithms for biometric unlock operations. Sounds like something possible could be crazy. Now, this is Lapsus $, is the hacking group, which is the same one that infiltrated NVIDIA. And basically, they're the ones that told NVIDIA, hey, you got to open source this stuff, or we'll release it all. And so those guys did not do anything. Samsung said they have not made any specific demands on them as of yet, but we'll kind of see. And next we have a Linux bug. It is high severity, but it requires a local manipulation of your computer, with this caveat that several Android versions are susceptible to this, and a malicious app can do just that. So it's very similar to the old Dirty Cow. This one is Dirty Pipe, in that you can pipe through a few different commands and gain root access to the device. Now, as far as a Linux computer, somebody would generally need root access or local access in order to do that. But on an Android phone, it can be done with an app. So you have to be careful of that. Now, the vulnerability was introduced. Let's see. It told me up here where it was introduced. It was introduced. I don't even think Debian is susceptible to this thing. It's so old. Where'd it go? Somewhere in this article, which you can find in the link down below, it will tell you when it created. Okay. So, it was introduced in 5.8. Relatively new. Many production servers are not running 5.8, but it has been patched in all of the latest versions. I think the latest 2 or 3 versions of Android are patched now. So it's fixed in 5.16.11, 5.15.25, 5.10.102. So some Android versions are going to be susceptible, which means a malicious app could do this. But if you have a Linux versions past these particular ones, you are going to be mitigated. Well, if you would like to help support the channel, we do have affiliates. I am recording this one from a writers conference, so it's appropriate I talk about ProWritingAid. Excellent tool, is an alternative to Grammarly that has always been privacy focused. They've never cared, unlike Grammarly, they have never cared about what you want. They've not collected it. Using my affiliate code tlm.li/PWA will save you 20% off a lifetime or a yearly subscription. And any one of these 3 will actually help support the channel as well. So have a look at ProWritingAid if you write and you need help on your emails, your documents, or anything else that you need. And they do have some features to support LibreOffice. So with that, let's go ahead and have a look at World War III. So first up in World War III, Cloudflare, another slightly positive one, I think. Cloudflare says, no, we're not going to pull out of Russia. If we shut off other sites, they would just celebrate. And they might. They might be like, yes, these Western guys are giving us reasons to run them all over with tanks and mutually assured destruction. So, but yeah, Cloudflare is like, all right, maybe we should slow down a little bit. I don't know. Although, legitimate businesses in the United States, I just didn't feel like them being on our system. Russia, yeah, sure, why not, Cloudflare still baffles me sometimes. All right. So Biden this week, of course, bans the import of Russian oil, liquefied natural gas, and coal. Of course, the dementia patient in chief did not likewise ramp up oil drilling or any other oil production in the United States, basically effectively saying, you're all screwed. You should have bought electric cars. Yeah, electric cars are still worse for the environment than gas cars, by the way, particularly if you have a perfectly fine working gas car. I got news for you, dementia patient. Allow us to drill and transport oil in the United States, and this won't be a problem. You're the fool who shut down the oil industry on day 1 of your administration. Enough said about that. So Russia, in response to all of these people basically deplatforming them from everything and anything, Russia is saying, hey, we'll just make pirating software legal. Okay, Western tech, you don't want us to pay you money? Okay, we'll just take your crap for free. Now, there's actually a law in Russia that kind of allows them to do this. Basically, Russian law already allows, paragraph 2, the government to authorize without consent of the patent holder the use of any intellectual property in case of emergency related to ensuring the defense and security of the state. Government has not yet taken such a step, but it is allowed to do so if it wants according to its own law. So basically, yeah, all these companies pulling out, we'll hurt you, Russia. We're just going to grab it all from Pirate Bay. We have a copy of their database anyway. So I don't know what you're helping there, but definitely an interesting thing going on. So just a lesson, maybe everyone just pulling their stuff out isn't going to do much. I don't know. And finally, Russia is planning to seize assets of any Western companies that pulled out. You pulled out your production. If you still have anything in our country, it's ours now. Sorry. There's actually a lease of like $6 billion in jets, I believe, which is on lease. But of course, since all these people pulled them out. They pulled out of SWIFT, so they basically can't transfer. It's unknown as of yet if they're going to make good on their, several $billion payment coming up here in this next couple of weeks. But the airplanes are in their possession. What are you going to do? Go in and take them? Russia's like, no, you're not. You Golden Arches McDonald's, yeah, we now own your restaurant. It's starting to look kind of like what the United States did to the Japanese right after Pearl Harbor. If you're unaware of that, by the way, I think it's at the road, was it Manzabar, I think? Basically, they did some bad things in the environment that caused an entire area to become this arid desert. Then they set up a camp and pushed all of the Japanese citizens there and basically held them as war prisoners for the entire duration of the war. Very frightening stuff. Definitely bad. And basically, Russia's doing the same thing to United States companies. So, yeah, pull out. We'll just seize your assets. Kind of interesting, but that kind of is the case. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have Patreon, patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there and help support the channel on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.
Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.